Good morning. Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic morning this morning as Bitcoin is breaking out here today, and it's doing it with a strong dollar. So the dollar's been up the last 2 days. We were looking at getting long dollar last week when it pulled back into support. So far so good. The support is held, but I really like that I'm seeing Bitcoin rise on a strong dollar. That means we're losing the inverse correlation so far. It takes more than 2 days to lose a correlation like that. But something you should be very cautious with, especially today, if you're looking to buy Bitcoin or if you're looking to get long for a day trade today, your D-vol is also climbing and it's at highs. So you're at the low month close of the D-vol. If you're not familiar what D-vol is, it's just the volatility of Bitcoin. It's similar to like the VIX on the S&P. So whenever this gets low, people start to look to buy it, as this is a hedge against Bitcoin. It's on Durbit. Durbit is the only exchange that you can trade options on when it comes to spot Bitcoin or futures or whatever. So that's what this is. So you can see here, this is your low month close. You've never closed a monthly candle lower than this price. And you can see today you're seeing a move higher in D-vols. That doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin's going to go down or that it's going to top out today. You can see this go up with Bitcoin prices going up. Just be aware that volatility is in fact moving higher up off of the low month close. So there is a chance that Bitcoin does throw in a high wick today and, move lower if this keeps expanding to the upside. It's not a big expansion. It's nothing like this, right? It's not a lot of volatility, but volatility is spiking. Maybe people are just putting on positions down here because it's a good place to hedge. Same exact principle as what you would do with the VIX. If you were on the lows on the VIX, you'd be buying puts on the S&P 500, as that's the best way to hedge. Just keep that in mind today. We're going to look at a couple other macro indicators though. Let's first go out to the daily time frame and take a look at that inverse correlation. This way you can see here, you are losing it. Nice uptick here. That is really good. So the closer we get to zero, the better. The better. So we want to see Bitcoin lose that inverse correlation to the dollar. Why? Because we have a strong upside dollar bias. That's why. So if I want to be bullish Bitcoin, I need to lose all the headwind risks that are out there for me to be bullish Bitcoin. So if you lose that inverse correlation to the dollar, then Bitcoin can rally with a strong dollar. Beautiful stuff. That literally means the only other severe this year risk would be BIP 110. You take away that, this thing can rally. And we'll see if it does, obviously. But yeah, I like what I'm seeing so far. But here's your weekly. Naturally, these indicators work quicker on the daily, intraday than day charts. So we're seeing that spike away from the inverse correlation zone on the daily. Next week, depending on how we close this week, will determine what this does when we close the week out. You get an uptick on this or what? But we'll see. It's kind of good news. That's a nice strong break above the 50-month exponential moving average. We went over this last week. This is where Bitcoin rolled over in its last bull market or bear market, back the last time that it had, or the last time that you had this scenario play out. You broke down below the 50-month. The 50-month is a very strong trending indicator. So if we look at this, wait 1 second on get all data here and put it on log so you can clearly see 50-month support. You lost it, but you didn't go far below it before Bitcoin rallies again. And then that was the pandemic, so that was the outlier. Here, this is the real first true time when Bitcoin actually lost the 50-month, retested the 50-month, and then got downside continuation. This is what most of the 4-year cycle people are anticipating is going to happen now. You're going to get the last 3-4 months of the year be bearish after July. I'm hoping we put in a trap. I would love to see the month of July close up in here. That would be absolutely beautiful. That would be something that nobody's anticipating right now, except for a few of the Bitcoin bulls that are left out there. All 2 of you. I'm obviously bullish Bitcoin long term. I own a lot of it. Almost too much to make me comfortable. But it is what it is. So if you are if you wanted to short Bitcoin today because you think it's going to roll over, I don't think it's going to roll over today. We were looking for that trade yesterday as we had all the right perfect scenarios situated. We didn't really have a perfect setup on Pingu, but we decided to short Bitcoin by shorting Pingu. Didn't work out for us. Of course not. It did not work out for us. So this morning we're going to keep our eyes open right here, right now, as this is what I'm looking at. Not very strong bullish pressure this morning. I have to ask myself why. You know what I mean? Why? I would assume there's probably a lot of trading taking place here. So either you're going to see Pingu rally hard when you get the New York session or an hour after, or you're going to see it roll over. If we could get a 30-minute candle close above this candle right here, then I would be very interested in watching the high of said candle. So if this candle ends up closing, we got 19 minutes left above this line here. When it closes and the next candle opens, that will be your 9:30 open. If it rallies just slightly or even starts to fade, I'm going to short it. I'll have a stop loss right here. Pingu has zero correlation to Bitcoin right now. It's not inversely correlated. It's not correlated. So it really doesn't matter what Bitcoin is doing. We go look at Farcoin. You can see Farcoin is, at least pulling back here a slight bit. So there is some bearishness out there. Bonk is just going to zero. People are done with Bonk. I mean, you are so close to zero, you might as well call it zero. So if crypto isn't done yet, if there's going to be another leg in this bear market, then I want to have some kind of short open. You look at Pingu longer term. Let's turn this indicator off for you. You can see it's right in an area where I'm interested in taking a short. You know what I mean? It's just that simple. Last time we were at the 400, we got to move that far. So if this is a dead cat bounce, if the real trade is to be selling it, and there's another leg of downside coming, then this would be a nice place to have a short open from. And that's it. It's that simple. Just technical analysis 101. Naturally, your high of day is setting at 64, 69, so you could see a run above that. But I think if you get that, that's going to change what I'm looking for to play out. So I probably wouldn't be shorting it then. I'm just looking for a quick bull break here or a trap candle And then if it wants to fade from there, I'm going to jump on it. If it keeps pushing and making fresh highs, I don't want to short it. I do not want to be short crypto. And if we come up here, this is the only position that I currently have on. That's bitty boy. So I'm glad that it's breaking out. This is the big liquidation zone up here. So I definitely think that that's where it's headed. So no point in shorting Bitcoin if I think it's going to go higher. You've already tested the 4-hour 200, and this is a breakout. Finally. It's so good that this is happening on strong dollar. I love it. I've been telling people for the last couple of months that if Bitcoin could rally, even though we have a bias bullish or bullish bias on the dollar, if Bitcoin could rally, I think that would be a very bullish signal. Anyways, that's what we're working with this morning. If there's going to be a short to make money, it's going to be here, I think. You haven't really gone anywhere on Pingu since the open. I mean, this is literally your day open candle right here. You've gone nowhere. That's your high of day. That was your low of day. So far, we've made one more high, and that's it. So literally as sideways as you can be. The deltas are more bullish here, so it definitely looks like you're going to see a bullish breakout. Not a bearish move. But those deltas aren't that volatile. Like, they're not that heavy or that strong. So it could be that there's just not many people trading this. I doubt that. Let me see. No, that's Bitcoin. Let me get on Pingu. $2.7 million contracts traded. So about the same amount of people trading it yesterday or today as there was yesterday. That's good. It's good. That's good. That's good. We're not going to do a long live stream for the public from now on. What we're going to do is we're going to do a live stream for like an hour, and that's it. That's all. Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll go live from 9 to 10, and we'll call it. No point in staying live for hours and hours and hours. All right, here we go. We got 15 minutes to the bell. There is a ratio that I'm seeing going around on the internet. First, let's talk about this ratio right here. This is growth versus value. And this ratio has done a really good job in the past of calling bear markets. So if you compare this chart with the S&P 500, for instance, there are some times where you do see a pullback on this indicator and you do not get a bear market. Like this time is one of them, clearly. You can see through here, the S&P 500 still continued to rally even though the growth versus value indicator broke down. But then you ultimately made this secondary swing high here and then rolled over again, and that called the bear market right there. And then again here, Q1 2025, this broke down, and then the S&P 500 broke down as well. Well, as you can see now, this thing is back close to the lows, and the S&P 500 is up on highs. So basically what this chart is telling us is that value is a lot more strong than growth right now. Generally, we don't want to see that for S&P 500 rallies. So this literally means the breadth is an absolute shit show right now when it comes to the SPOOs. You've got just a few stocks leading this push. If those stocks roll over, there's a pretty good chance you're going to see a pretty significant correction. Not a bear market or a recession or anything, just a correction. As this ratio has been trading off for some time. So just be aware of that. But this isn't the ratio. This isn't what I was talking about that I'm seeing going around on Twitter. It's going to be your copper versus gold ratio. Oop. There's 2 P's in copper. You got a big breakout happening here, and whenever this ratio has turned bullish, that has been pretty good bullish signals for Bitcoin. We looked at this yesterday. We'll look at it again today as we are live publicly. We're looking at it yesterday with just the Discord. You can see here was a nice big rally. You got a nice big rally on Bitcoin as well. Now, I was arguing that this thing has dumped, and you got a nice rally out of Bitcoin the last time. So to say, hey, you got another rally here, that could be marking a bear market bottom here. I would argue that, okay, maybe, right? The business cycle is above 50. The PMI is above 50. That's good. I think right now, literally, the main thing that's keeping Bitcoin's price action so subdued is BIP 110, right? That is a headwind risk because nobody knows what's going to happen with Bitcoin, with the BIP. We think everything's going to be just fine. We think everything is going to be just fine. Bitcoin is going to survive. It's going to continue to be the same thing that it was before. Everybody got up in arms over it. Bitcoin will be closer to money for a year while the BIP is in action. Can't be a bad thing. Some people are not happy about it because they're going to lose the way they make money, I guess. But I think Bitcoin should be financial data only. It's a financial asset. The blockchain should be used for financial transaction data. Shouldn't be used for Pepe the Pig or Pepe the Meme Frog pizza pictures. But who am I to say that it shouldn't be allowed? I'm nobody. I'm not a pleb. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I'm a trader. I make my living off of trading Bitcoin volatility and among other things. If Bitcoin goes to zero, then I'll lose the money that I have invested in it. That would suck, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Bitcoin isn't the only thing I trade. I trade Forex, I trade stocks, options, futures, trade it all. I'm going to start to nibble a little bit on SpaceX down here because I said 112 would be 50% off the highs, and I said I wanted to wait until 180 days is passed. Once you get past that 180-day lockout period, because you're probably going to see more sell side pressure. But I mean, 45% off the highs is freaking close to 50. Why would I wait for another 5% drop? You know what I mean? I'm just going to dip my little itty bitty tip of my little itty bitty pinky toe in this market. I'm not going to buy a lot of shares. I'm going to buy a few, maybe 10 to start. I think you're probably going to see a lot more sell side pressure from August to December, because the way that they structured this stock was they staggered the lockout periods. So there's going to be some people that are able to sell quickly, and then more people come online later, and it was staggered in a way. Elon wanted it staggered that way, so that way you wouldn't get all of the sell side pressure all at one time. So that's why I say basically from August to December, you're going to see bouts of selling pressure. A lot of bears out there because this stock has pulled back so much. And not only this one, a lot of the AI trades right now are pulling back. So a lot of people are calling for a bear market. The doomers are out in full force right now. Pingu did not give us that close. So maybe it isn't going to. This is last week's high. This bottom white line here. That's last week's high. This is the level that I'm very interested in being short from. Because as long as price, for any newer traders out there that are listening to my voice right now, if price is refusing to trade above this level, then you no longer have, objectively speaking, upside continuation. So I can put a short on. I cannot predict what price will do 1 second into the future, but I know at least objectively, if it isn't above this, then it isn't making upside continuation. Therefore, my short may live long enough to produce a valid trade. I want people to trade like this because most people are trying to short things that are absolutely running to the upside, and they're getting ran over. They can't make money because they keep taking these really bad trades. They're trading against momentum. They're trading against order flow. They obviously cannot trade the trend, or they don't want to trade the trend, so they try to take reversals on all trades. They miss the upside, so they got to be a seller. Or they miss the downside, so they got to buy a stock that clearly has no point in being bought. Like right now, buying SpaceX is a terrible idea. It is literally in a downtrend. I'm only buying it because I'm looking to hold it for more than a day. I'm looking to hold it for a year or two. I want to build up a bigger position. It's a very risky trade though, because there's some analysts that are saying that within 2 years, SpaceX and Tesla will be one ticker. Oh, that's going to bring about some issues, obviously, if that happens. Now, Elon Musk has not said that he is going to do this or anything like that. He has told some of, I guess, his closest advisors or whatever that he would rather they all be one company, and if he controlled more than 25% of the shares, then he wouldn't need to go to the boards with decisions that affect the company. It would just be less time, less work. But that's it. Like, that's it. It's not checking on, it's not a rumor or anything. It's just speculation. So that makes it risky. I own Tesla. I already own it. I own it for much lower prices. So, there's no point in buying SpaceX if they're just going to merge, because I already own Tesla. And also, how am I going to feel about that? Because as of right now, I know SpaceX does not make money because they are all combined into one conglomerate. That means that the stock is overvalued. Right? It's overvalued. So I don't necessarily want my profitable trade or my profitable investment to turn into a not profitable investment because they merged this company with Tesla. So I'm just saying, like, there are several reasons to give this thing a year or two before we even think about buying it. But I do want to own some of it because I do believe that eventually it will be profitable. I mean, eventually, if you want to send something to space, there's not very many companies that you can do that with. He is the leader in that space. The internet company that is directly through SpaceX is profitable. That's the only part of this company that is. His internet satellites. XAI not profitable, and currently SpaceX not profitable. So yeah, Elon thinks that this stock is going to 1000x in the future. I'm willing to put a little bit of money on the line to see if that ever happens. All right, so there's the bell. Got a nice little pop here on the bell. That's last week's low, that white line. Very important. As if you're under that, you're trending to the downside still. So that's kind of where I'm looking. Let me go see what that's about. The pound CAD long that I was talking about to the Discord members or the channel members on Sunday. Every Sunday we do a live stream for channel members and Patreon members. We discuss this trade in depth. If it can liquidate these swing lows and then stop going down, if it can build in support here, we're going to look for longs. But I don't know that you're going to see that take place, obviously, while you have dollar strength, because it's making pound weaker. So you would need Canadian dollar to get weak. We'll see if that happens down here. So this is the last level that I'm willing to be a buyer on pound CAD at, right in this area. One spot 88108. If you get down there today, keep an eye on it. Just see if support builds in. That is what we're looking at. On gold, I want to be a buyer on gold before the 24th of July. The 24th of July, the big China banks are going to halt all paper gold trading. So if you live in China, if you are a Chinese citizen, you can no longer hedge your gold position. You can only buy bullion. That's it. You can only buy bullion. You can no longer trade gold. Because China thinks that the prices are being depressed based or because of paper trading. Futures positions, essentially. That's what they're calling paper trades, futures, and options positions. The way that you hedge off your downside risk. That may cause gold to spike. So we are looking at gold here. The main reason that we're looking at gold is because $4,000 has held as support, and you have now finally taken out the high of the July 16 candle, which was the breakdown below support. Today, even with a strong dollar, you have nuked that high. So now, for me, as long as $4,000 holds, I want to be long close to as close to $4,000 as I can get. So basically, I know I'm most likely not going to get a pullback back down here to 4K at this point. I could buy like 4,045, or I could be a buyer a little bit lower, like 4,035. So if we get a pullback into the midpoint of this 12-hour candle, that's about where I'm going to look to put on risk, and I'll use the low of day as the stop, because you do have dollar strength. And as long as we have dollar strength, it could cause pressure on gold. But like Bitcoin, you're seeing gold pop here with dollar strength as well. So something's going on. You're starting to see a couple assets that have had a strong inverse correlation to the DXY be reversed. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. And then for the long-term portfolio, Coca-Cola is getting annihilated. So I'm going to have to drop this one. This got annihilated on bad news. One of the companies that is underneath Coca-Cola as a conglomerate had a hack last week. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, that's not the news. I don't want key facts. I want news. I'm not seeing any news. Where are the news headlines? It's supposed to be here, but whatever. Yeah, they got hacked and some data was lost or something like that. That caused this massive downside pressure, but that's like, you're at all-time highs up there, so it makes sense that people are taking profits. You lose the 21-day exponential, and I start to get a little bit concerned. It's still holding a strong uptrend, but because I own so many shares of it, it's setting roughly down here right at about 1% loss. So I'm going to manage the portfolio actively. I'm not going to allow one ticker to go against the portfolio so strongly it keeps it out of profitability. Buying it at all-time highs was not a very smart idea. I hate buying all-time highs, but it is what it is. A couple of the other ones are doing okay, but some things are pulling back a little bit today. What are we seeing happening here? On the VIX. The VIX is down today. You're gapping down from where you closed yesterday. And you're trading under Friday's low. You're not yet trading under yesterday's low yet. But S&P 500 holding support. Dollar on the move, breaking out. Oil also on the move. We were looking for oil longs last week, but we were a day early. We actually tried to get long on this day. We got stopped out. I'll bring you back over to that trade. So essentially I bought right here, looking for the upside break. And it didn't give it to me and ended up coming down and stopping me out. This is where you should have been a buyer. I would have bought there, but that happened at the London session open. I'm in bed at 2 o'clock usually. 2 o'clock in the morning is when the London session happens for me. Usually I'm asleep at that time. But if you were awake during the London session open, and if you had paid attention to the live stream, you would have known that you were watching Wednesday's low, and that was the area to be a buyer on oil. Had you bought there, you're in good shape. Now, with that being said, our target was gap fill up here. This is gap fill. You filled the gap. That's where you should have taken profits on oil. And if you've done that, you're situated nicely for any upside spike or any uptrend. You'll have a nice little entry open there. I think oil is going to trade like this for the next 6 months. I think that's what your 4-hour chart's going to look like on oil for a long, long time. I don't think you're going to see a big uptrend. You could, because this down here, this is when we were really looking for a bounce on oil after it filled the pre-war levels. So this was pre-war levels. There was a gap down there. You can't really see it. Let's go to the daily. Right here. So the war broke out and the oil gapped up and took off. So this was just getting back to pre-war prices. And see how it traded right down there, filled that gap so spectacularly, and popped. So we are seeing kind of an aggressive spike here. This is a short squeeze. So basically, when we were looking for shorts at 105 on oil, we were right. And our downside target was hit. You shouldn't be looking for shorts anymore. That trade has played out. I don't really have a strong upside bias on it. I do believe there will be some resolution to it. And we already know that if China is willing to keep the world from, going into chaos because of outrageous oil prices, to all countries who are net importers of oil. Oil exporters were not struggling, right? If you got a lot of oil, you were fine. Worst case scenario, prices at the pump went up. But to countries that are net importers, they import all of their oil, like Japan and Europe, several European countries, they were getting into some real trouble. So China cut back on how much oil they were importing, and it essentially allowed the prices to roll over, right? Like we kind of thought would happen. And it happened. So, but that trade is done now. With as long as the U.S. is staying in the Strait of Hormuz, you gotta anticipate that oil is going to remain volatile. All right, Bitcoin pulling back a little bit. You are into what is daily resistance for us. Is that a decent level to look for shorts? I don't know. I don't know if I would want to short that level, but you can if you want to. If you're looking for Bitcoin to find resistance here, I think you'd be better off on something else, but Pingu is not inversely correlated to Bitcoin right now. So even if Bitcoin does pull back from this level, which I'm not anticipating that at all, this is a fresh breakout for us. The way that we analyze price. It's not a breakout of the entire range, but it is a breakout above the 50-month, which is a huge level of resistance. You're also currently breaking above the 8-hour 200 exponential moving average. So could it pull back from here? Absolutely it could. It did here. So it absolutely could. I feel like you would liquidate this swing high before you would roll over. Just a brief pop above and then back under. This is just a weekly high. It is not a monthly swing high. So if you're looking at the monthly chart only, then you're not even aware of that liquidation zone up there. So to you, you're fine with putting a short on right here, because of where it is in last month's range. So you're literally at the midpoint of last month's range here. So it can definitely find resistance here. You can't just, is it because of daily resistance? Is it because of the midpoint? Is it because of the 200? Yes, yes, and yes. I'm just saying, if you want to short Bitcoin, there are levels that you can short here. All right, let's go to the trade tab over there and go ahead and get ready to bounce out of Coca-Cola. Gonna set a stop market at the lows. So $80.58 is where I'm gonna set that stop order. 80 spot 50. I own 234 shares. I'm closing those out. It'd be slightly bigger than a 1% loss on the total P&L, or on the total portfolio. We put 100 grand to work. I'm gonna review that and send that order. All right, so we're good to go on that. All right. Pingu's pulling back for us a little bit here. Be nice if we could get some downside continuation on it. First major level of support on Pingu is going to be right here at around 63.72. At any point today, if Pingu refuses to go under, would you give me that level? Thank you. If Pingu doesn't break under this lower line, let's just mark this line red. If it doesn't break and start to trend under this level, you might seriously want to think about taking profits. All right. Give it a little bit of time, say 15, 20 minutes. But this is the level. It's got to break under this and head lower. As you can see, all morning it has refused to do that. So at any point this morning, if you were, say, short from this wick and you saw that it was refusing to go lower, you could have bounced instead of eating a full stop loss. Well, that's what we'll do. Potentially. But I do have a stop loss just in case. Stop right here. Be a good spot. That's clearly resistance, 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 resistance. If it's going to roll over, it should have no problem breaking through that level. You can see that the candles are just so tiny that this thing can and does occasionally get very volatile. If we don't see any of that volatility this morning show up, we're going to bounce out of this, because this thing can also get violent to the upside. Very small range candle. If it's being bought up this aggressively, then chances are it's looking to spike, not roll over. Weekly VWAP is setting so far under price. It's just Tuesday. So that tells me that the volume and, the buyers are very aggressive this week. Order flow is clearly bullish here. You're trying to break out and put in a trending move and head back to these swings, as that's where the next big zone of liquidity is sitting. we're getting that pullback on gold. See if it can pull back to this wick here. $40 or not spot, 40.44. 40.40 is where I'm looking for the entry. I'm going to set a limit buy at 40.40. $40.40 limit. 40.40, and I'll buy that much. $1,000 worth, be fine. And we'll see if we can get filled. Now this is still very bearish on the 4-hour time frame. It isn't. You typically wouldn't be a buy. I would be bearish on gold right now. Not down here. I'd want to get it up here, but because this is so bearish, your moving average structure is completely bearish. You don't even have the 21 crossing the 50 yet. So, this is barely a dead cat bounce. It's such a tight range. You can see you're not even you haven't even breached above the previous 3-day high yet. So, very, very. If I was wanting to be a seller, this is where I would have expected it to roll over, and it didn't. And that's the only reason I'm even looking for a bullish trade today. Look at the deltas. The deltas are bullish. You're above the neutral and holding above the neutral. So that indicates that the buyers are more aggressive today on gold. So far, the sellers have beat it down away from the highs, but it doesn't matter to me. If it's holding support like this and prices pulling back, I want to try to get an entry for an upside breakout move. You could do the same thing on Pingu if you wanted. To be honest with you, that's more of a trade that you have here than looking for the short. You do have more of a buy here than a short. And that was a pullback. It's probably not a significant enough pullback for me to get a fill on it, but because today's range is so freaking tight, it's like, yeah, it looks like it wants to break to the upside. I just want to have at least one short on in crypto because of Bitcoin volatility expansion. So I'm not going to buy Pingu. I'm going to hold the short unless it makes, unless it gets up into here, then I'm going to be stopped out. But if I don't get stopped out, I'm going to hold the short. Just in case we get a spike of volatility today on Bitcoin and it rolls over and the rest of the crypto market takes a hit too. But the crypto market is extremely bullish today. Everything is green. There's only a couple that aren't. The majority of them are. So whenever I see that, I don't really like being bearish. Greetings, says let's talk with Vic Bower Bull. Can we use the correlation coefficient on 4-hour time frame? You can, but once you get it down into those intraday time frames, you're going to see a lot more. It's going to be less. It's going to be a lot less useful. You're going to see a lot more chop. So like even here on the 8-hour, it's not going to be really helpful. You know what I mean? It was not helpful at all yesterday We took a short yesterday, anticipated because the dollar was strong. And we still yesterday had, before the day closed, you still had a strong inverse correlation on the daily time frame. But because that day was, holding support, it never broke down for us. Therefore, we were wrong. You can. The answer is yes, you can. Is it going to be helpful? I would say no, probably not. Nice move higher here on Bitcoin. Yeah, bulls are still in control of aggression. I see no reason for it to roll over other than volatility expanding. So now you're going to make what looks to be like a 30-minute close above resistance here. This could be a trap still. Also seeing Pingu recover strongly. Gold has not filled my entry yet. Dollar pulling back off the highs a little bit. Gold right now has also lost its inverse correlation to the dollar. So it really doesn't matter what the dollar does. So if gold's going to make a bounce from 4K, it needs to start heading that way soon. I'm not anticipating a large rally or anything like that once the paper market gets closed in China on Friday, but I do want to have a little bit of risk in the market just in case it does. Like, I would be so upset at myself knowing that news was coming and I wasn't long at $4,000 if you get a big spike up to like 43 or 4,400. That seems like a very easy play. So that's why I'm kind of looking for the long here. On the pullback counter trend. Depending on time frame will determine trend on this, obviously. But anytime you get a death cross on a daily time frame, to me, that's pretty much uptrend over. And the 50 and the 200 are right here crossing. So that is a death cross. Basically what that means, any pop back up to the yearly open, which is setting at 43.26 spot 40, would be a sellable opportunity. Not, we'll see what happens when it gets there, but I would have more of a short side bias up here than a buy side bias based on this structure. But if you're looking at the weekly, this is still bullish. All right, you lost the 50. So your strong trend is over, but you're still above the 100. So you're still in an uptrend. You still have uptrend structure on the weekly. So daily time frame, this is a counter trend trade. Looking for longs. Let's go look at the liquidation map real quick. And also we want to check Bitcoin ETF flows. Nice. We had pretty strong ETF inflows yesterday. Good. Looks good. Right here. Oh, you bastard. You're probably going to make me do that, aren't you? All right. So we want to go out a year and see what's going on here. So pretty even on liquidity now in both directions. The 30-day is still strong for upside pressure. Once you get to 67,558, that's probably when it would start to, chop. Like, I wouldn't anticipate a large breakout up to 68K and beyond. You could definitely get to 68K, and that looks to be about where it would start to chop. If you like to look at the heat map instead, that's fine. You should see something similar out 1 month. Yeah, there's not much liquidity up above 68K, right? There is, it's not thick. So you got a big hole right there at 70K. And then the next big liquidation zone to the downside is all the way back down to 60. So that fits with us having a level up here at 67K. So at any point, if Bitcoin fails to trend above that, then might be a better place to look to put shorts on. I just wouldn't be a seller today, but with the vol expanding, I could be too. So yeah, I don't know. It's just not a perfect trade setup for sure. The buyers are slightly aggressive here this morning. I would anticipate that stays the trend literally all day. And I did short pound dollar yesterday, GBP USD. Yesterday, pound dollar retested the yearly opening range. That's where I put on a short. It was actually a little bit higher because I was watching the prior day swing high. And that's where I looked to get short. And that's where I put the sell on. And now it's doing good. You can see that you're into moving average support down here. And yeah, that's it. Moving average support. The monthly open is much lower. Yeah, it's just going to be daily moving average support. There's nothing else here to stop price. You're into daily supply, but you tagged it yesterday on the DXY. So could it still roll over here? Yes, it could. Got trend line resistance. And you're into last week's open. So because of those reasons, the dollar could find resistance here today. This is a long-term trend line. No, it isn't. Get rid of that. Yeah, that's a nothing burger. Still a strong uptrend. For us, as long as the DXY is above Q4 2025's high, we're going to remain bullish. So right here is Q4 2025's high. Because this is your breakout above that. As you can see on the quarterly chart, Q1 and Q2 was bearish in 2025 on the DXY, but that was it. Q3 and 4, you were in Q2's range. Then Q1 2026, you were still in that range. And even a big part of Q2 2026, you were still in that range. But the end of 2026, Q2 2026, you broke out. So that's the clear, easy to identify resistance. Let's get rid of the moving averages. That's not what I'm talking about. And so far, that has held as support. So that is literally why we were looking to be a buyer on the DXY there. You can be a buyer on the DXY futures, or you could be a seller on pound dollar or a seller on euro dollar. That makes you a buyer on the dollar. So I've already been long euro dollar for a while, and I've already been long euro Swissy for a while. I didn't have a position open on pound dollar, so I took that trade yesterday. We are crushing it finally in the FX land. So most YouTube traders channels have been slugging off on the views because, well, Bitcoin is in a very tight range, not doing anything. And so has the dollar. The dollar has been in a year-long range. So if you trade Forex with a very tight dollar range, it's going to make anything against the dollar be very choppy and difficult to get a long-term analysis going. But once we finally got closer and closer to the point of where we were actually looking for the dollar to hold support and start to head higher and start to begin and build in an uptrend, we were able to get long. And so far, we've been holding those positions and they're paying us nicely. There's no reason to close them. And as long as Bitcoin is inversely trading to the dollar, that's an issue for Bitcoin longs. But if Bitcoin could lose that correlation, then we could still stay dollar bull and also Bitcoin bull. The dollar, because it spent so much time up here after the breakout, it does look like it is failing. This does look like a failed breakout. I just can't get bearish on it yet. I won't be able to get bearish on it until it gets down here. So does that mean I might miss out on a potential short here? Yeah. But because there's no macro reason for me to take a short on the dollar right now, I'm not going to even look for that trade. Maybe if it fails here today, closes back under daily supply, maybe tomorrow we can look for dollar shorts. If you trade like up to today's high and fail there. So maybe tomorrow there is a valid short trade to take on the dollar. It's just not today, in my opinion. And if you are going to be looking for dollar shorts, consult your Forex broker and check those rollover rates, because to short the dollar right now is expensive. Like, if you short the dollar versus the Swiss franc, you're going to be paying $1.39 per day on 10,000 units. It's not a lot of money, but that adds up over time. You can see a perfectly profitable trade turn into a losing trade based on these freaking rollover rates. Now make sure that your dollar short, this is the short side, this is the long side. Just make sure it isn't a super expensive one. One that isn't for me, as you can see here, is dollar, Aussie dollar. Let me refresh this just to make sure. Yeah. It's not super expensive. I wouldn't be short Aussie dollar. If I was looking for dollar shorts, I'd be long Aussie dollar. It's not that expensive, so Aussie dollar might be the best one to look at for a dollar short trade. If you're looking for a swing trade, if you're just looking for a day trade, then rollover rates do not matter. You're not going to be in the trade long enough to even worry about it. Rollover rates are going to affect those who are looking for a more long-term, 2-week, 3-week, 4-week hold. Then rollover rates do matter because you don't get just one move. You don't get just a one-sided direction market. Prices are usually very choppy in an overall bigger range, especially in the Forex market. Very choppy. And it can be choppy for weeks. Look at this garbage through here. Jeez. Yeah, same thing here. It doesn't look like that much time, but when you look at a weekly chart, this thing hasn't moved in 4 weeks. It has literally been trading in the same range for 4 weeks. This is week number 5. That's why I'm starting to think, wait a minute. This breakout doesn't really have any legs. I thought once we broke out above Q4 2025's high, we would see a massive move. A large trending move. I thought it would be going off the chain to the upside. Wrong. But I'm okay to hold the trade because I'm making money every single day because I'm on the side of rollover rates. So no point in closing it. We don't think the Fed is going to hike or cut in Q3. They may do something in Q4, but as of right now, we're pretty set in stone, I think, with rates. You're not going to see a cut. You're not going to see a hike. But because the interest rate spread is still very wide, well, of course, I need to open a new chart to pull that up, huh? Oh, wrong one. We don't want to open that one. Because the dollar interest rate spread is still so wide versus everything, we think dollar bull still. There's no reason to change dollar bull bias. So, unless you get a rate hike out of another central bank and rate cuts out of the Fed, there's no point, really, to be looking for dollar shorts. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong on that, but that is an opinion. It's a strong opinion, and I do this for a living. All right. Anyways, Bitcoin looking strong here. That's a continuation candle. Nice strong. This isn't a trap. Nice strong move to the upside. You're seeing upside continuation. Beautiful. I like it. I wish it would start doing this. I wish I would get like 10 candles that look like this right in a row. Because then that $1,200 that I have on an open trade right now will grow dramatically. Excuse me. These little tiny upside days. I mean, today, to be fair, it's up 2.5%. I would love to see like 5 days in a row, Bitcoin up like 5% each day. I'm not asking for a lot. Come on, Bitcoin. Get back up to all-time highs already. What's the matter with you? Strong bullish deltas this morning. Yeah, I don't think that Pingu short's going to work out. I did not get filled on the gold trade either. As you can see, it did not come to my entry. My entry was setting at 40.40. I was $4 short of getting filled on that long. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Just a little bit closer and I would have got filled. I'm not going to chase it, obviously. I'm not going to try to get long up here. I'll wait for another pullback. I'll get one. Hopefully. There will be another range-bound candle at some point, and then I will look for entries there. So I'm just going to leave it alone. I'll leave the limit there just in case that 5-minute candle gets retraced, which it is possible. I still might get filled on that long. We'll see. Ethereum looks good. For all you Ethereum bulls out there, ETH actually looks better than Bitcoin right now. And for a while here, Ethereum has been beating Bitcoin. Not by a whole lot, but it still looks like the downtrend has almost been broken. I really like how it's traded up into the 200-day exponential here, pulled back for 3 days, and are retesting it again. Now, to some, this is going to look like just a lower high, and they're going to jump on the short here. And with this technical structure, I couldn't argue with that positioning. I would have probably done the same thing. But if you are an ETH bull, you would love to see it make fresh highs. At some point, you want to see this candle stop going lower and turn around and start to head back to the upside. You don't want to see it fade or get faded here. Otherwise, you're still in a downtrend and you could see a larger move lower over time. So you really want to see it break out above this stuff here. But all in all, it looks okay. Even versus the dollar, it's doing a lot better than Bitcoin. As you've already liquidated June 15th's candle. You liquidated that last week on Ethereum. We're just now trying to do that here on Bitcoin. That's your June 15 week high. So Ethereum is much further along in this expansion than Bitcoin is. Overall, it looks pretty good. Finally starting to see something. It's just an intra-month pullback, though. I don't want to get too bullish just yet. It's constructive looking. Looks constructive, and I always love to see the moving averages switch to bullish on the 4-hour time frame. That's a pretty good look. Now it just needs to maintain that. Upside continuation, especially when you get here. Calm before the storm on higher time frames, in my opinion. You could be right. Only time will tell. There's a lot of need to stay longer, please. We appreciate it, especially for us that can't join the Patreon. We'll see how it goes. If you guys stay active, then you know what I mean? I don't have any problem staying live. It's not like I don't want to or anything. It's just there's no point if nobody's talking in the chat, people are dropping off. If nobody, you know what I mean? Then there's no point in staying live. So yeah, I'll stay live for you. It's not a big deal. It's just Anyways, yeah. Good morning, Bravo. Good morning, Tom. 30 seconds. I'm assuming for the bell. Yeah, that happened a while back. Do you think we'll have 2 district gold prices, paper and bullion? I don't know what to think. I maybe. I mean, China owns a lot of gold. I don't know where they're buying it. I guess it would, like, where are they buying it? They're going to have to pay the price the person selling it is asking, right? So is it possible that wherever they're buying their gold from has a different price than what the U.S. gold market is? I don't see why it couldn't be different. America's literally the only quote unquote free nation or capitalist society. So, but most people do what the U.S. does. I don't know what to expect out of this. I don't think anybody does, really. The CCP, the Communist China Party, I mean, they can do whatever they want to do. If I was Chinese, I would be very upset over this, especially if I was a Chinese trader and I owned a lot of gold. Like if I dealt in gold a lot, it's not so much going to hurt just the normal Chinese citizen that owns a little bit of bullion, right? They're not hedging their gold anyways. They buy it for jewelry. They buy it because it's pretty or whatever. They buy it to store value. All of those reasons are good. They're not going to be hedging. But it's going to directly affect people who sell gold and who buy gold a lot. Like a retailer of bullion, for instance. If gold prices soar and a lot of people are trying to sell their gold to cash out, then that person would have a lot of gold on hand. So that person might want to hedge against that. So like when you have bullion, even if the market price, like when silver, do you guys remember when silver was up at like 120? When price gets super volatile like that, you're going to have a very difficult time even getting a bullion dealer to give you those prices. I'm not saying it's impossible, but my dealer is he's a really cool guy, and because I've done a lot of business with him over time, he usually gives me real good prices, like 3% off a spot. So if the spot market is 120, he'll give me, he'll back it off 3%. But even he wouldn't give me that much because the market was so volatile. So like if he would have bought my silver at 120 and then, he can't sell what he bought from me quickly. Like he makes one run a month or one run every week to whoever he sells his gold and silver to, right? A refinery or whatever. I don't know where he's selling his gold, but you get what I'm saying. So he can't give me 120 an ounce for silver if it's super volatile, because by the time he gets to sell his silver, what if prices crash back down to 60 or 70? Then he's taken a massive loss. Massive loss. So for people like him to be able to hedge all of that bullion buying is a good thing. Well, that's not going to be, you're not going to be able to do that in China. But to be honest with you, it's a communist nation, so you might not even be able to do that unless the government says you can. Here in America, you can buy and sell anything as long as it's legal. You don't really need to be, I don't know if you need to be, maybe even in America, you might have to get some kind of certification to be a bullion dealer. I don't know. I'm just saying it doesn't affect main people. It's going to affect traders, investors, bankers, anybody that deals with a lot of gold. It's kind of a crappy thing, to be honest with you. It's a freedom you no longer have. So some people are wanting this to happen, and the people that want this to happen are gold bugs, mostly people that own gold and they want gold to be more expensive. So they're like, yeah, this is great. This is a great. You can see them all over social media talking about how great the CCP is, how this is going to inflate the prices of gold. And it's like, dude, you are so dumb. This is never, when a human being loses freedoms, that is never a good thing. But because you're making money, you think it's good. No, I guarantee you there are people in China right now that absolutely hate what is about to happen. Put a lot of people out of business. I don't know if it's going to affect the prices, but if it does, then I'm okay with having some risk on to catch it. That's all. I don't know that it's going to, but I feel like I would beat myself up next week if gold had like a sudden 8% spike on Friday because of it. On Monday, I'd be like banging my head off my desk, like, why didn't you buy gold, you idiot? That's the only reason I'm even looking for the long. It could also cause a negative reaction. Could also cause an 8% drop. We don't know. Probably won't, but who knows? All right, so Bitcoin's pulling off the highs here. It's still very consistent with just the pullback. Not seeing any heavy selling pressure or anything like that. Heavy selling pressure took place up here this morning. That's where the POC is, or the point of control for today's range. As a lot of sellers started stacking up here. See that? As Bitcoin traded sideways here from like 4 o'clock a.m. all the way up until, well, 7:30 when you finally broke out. The sellers were jumping on it here at resistance. This is their stop losses getting filled. Their exit liquidity now. Yep. Damn. A lot of buy pressure in that candle at the high. Those are stop losses. That's people selling every freaking candle. Just everyone. They're getting short, getting stopped out. Getting short, getting stopped out. Ugh. I remember those days. Don't do that. You lose so much money you can't even. Yeah, don't do that. Do you think we'll have two district? Oh, I read that. There is a trend line coming from the all-time high of Bitcoin, and the price is getting close to that. Usually, there is a rejection at or around that kind of trend line, at least for the first touch. Yeah, I don't see it, but let me turn off log. Okay, so there it is. It's close. It's not there yet. Could it hold as resistance? Of course. I mean, traders, especially technical analysts, are going to have lines everywhere. I would say that there would be more resistance at this price because of the 200-week EMA, not so much the trend line, right? But, I mean, like I said, there's a trend line there also. So that you're going to have confluence there. The more confluence you have, you're probably right. On the first retest, there's likely to be a small reaction. Would I get short based on that trend line alone? Absolutely not. Right? That's not how I trade, though. But good news, it ain't just a trend line. You've got that there as well. So, yeah, last liquidation spot right there. You've got the 200-week setting here. I'm sure there are other levels you could find there. For instance, that's your June open. So if you fib June's range, there's probably a fib that comes in there as well. There is. It's the 618. A lot of confluence there. Is it a scalpable? Could you get a scalpable move off of that? Maybe. Yeah. It's absolutely possible, my friend. If that's what you're watching, keep an eye on it. Pingu is testing 4-hour support. It's not 4-hour support, it's 4-hour swing lows. But this is where it's crucial that it breaks down. If it doesn't break down here, we might as well bail on this short idea. Might as well bail on it. I gotta take profits on that pound dollar trade. The dollar is at resistance. I mean, it tagged that trend line to perfection, didn't it? All I did was put it on here and here. I don't put much hope or faith into trend lines. I definitely don't use them as entry criteria. But I mean, once price tests it, and then if it backs off and puts in a swing high there, then yeah, it then becomes something for me to watch. But I like objective prices a lot better. If you're using swing highs to put on trend lines, then it is kind of an objective level. I mean, as long as you're pegging it to swing highs, your swing high is the same, should be the same price as my swing high. A lot of people use slope analysis. People that I respect. Michael Boutros with Forex.com is an analyst / writer who uses slope analysis and has for years. Swears by it. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with slope analysis, is what I'm trying to say. Huge sell orders between 67,400 to 67,800. I don't know what you're looking at to get that data. If you're looking at this, it's not actual data. It's not like legit limit orders. Where did it go? This thing. These aren't like legit limit orders. Or, you know what I mean? It's just they use past data to generate future data. But there are level 2 data. You might be looking at level 2 data, but I mean, I imagine there are. You know what I mean? I imagine there are a lot of sellers willing to sell Bitcoin at 67K. And they might be right Only time will tell. I wouldn't be putting on a short based on that info, but I mean, you can if you want. You might be right. It might work out for you. We already know. We don't have to look at anything. We know, right? We know that there's liquidity up there. Anybody that has shorted Bitcoin has most likely trailed their stop losses to that swing high. So once you get above that, there is nothing until up here. So there is a big chunk of price action in here that there's nothing really, there's not going to be much. That doesn't mean it's going to go higher either. It could stop anywhere in through here at any random price and roll over. I'm just saying we can look at, just by looking at prior swing highs and swing lows, we know where liquidity is. Very simple. That's why we're not short Bitcoin here. And that is also why we are trying to short Pingu here. Once Pingu resolves this level, whether to the upside or to the downside, we'll know what's what. We'll know what's what. Is there demand for Pingu at this price? Only time will tell. We know there is because there's a lot of volume being thrown down here. A lot of buyers, a lot of sellers. Time will dictate which one is correct. Can you take a look at XLE on the daily? Yep. Looks like it's trying to rally with oil. XLE has a lot of big oil stocks in it. That's what's going to move this, not oil prices specifically. But I mean, it looks very similar to oil. Oil was oversold down there. So was XLE, most likely. You were close to oversold. Yeah, we generally want to be taking profits on any short trades at oversold. Just like if we buy, we want to take profits at overbought. It's getting close to being overbought. Again, a nice bounce on XLE here. It's going to be based on and because of oil. But a lot of times these, like, what? I always screw that ticker up. It was right there, wasn't it? CBX. That's the XLE looks almost identical to this. This is one of the biggest, if not the biggest ticker inside of the XLE. I wouldn't be trying to sell this. I would only have a bullish bias on the XLE right now. Yeah, we stopped being bearish on oil down here. We were actually trying to catch that pop, but I wasn't actively or aggressively trying to catch it, so it got away from me. I tried after it broke back above the daily, 21 exponential. That's when I tried to get long right in here, but that day stopped me out, or this day, I can't remember. I was trying to buy this wick or that wick and ended up eating a stop loss. That happens. Sometimes I'm a day early. And then it took off at the London session. So that it wouldn't, even if I would have waited one more day to take the trade. I still wouldn't have caught it because it happened while I was asleep. But the bias was correct. And that's what we try to do. We try to keep the bias on the right side of the markets. Generally, we do okay. Yeah, I don't know that I would be a seller here, but once it gets overbought, then if it starts to slow down, if the rally starts to slow up, you start to see like bullish momentum loss, then maybe we will revisit the short. But right now, it's a little early. It's a little early still. Now, to be fair, if you were looking for shorts here, you had a couple days to nail it. You're kind of in the same-ish area. Basically, the 60 on the daily RSI is your bullish control zone. So now that you're into 60, it could be resistance. But that's not enough data for me to put on a short. I think because the dollar is currently, moving to the upside, I probably wouldn't want to be trying to short oil right yet. The dollar is still somewhat tied to oil, and it will be for a while. That's not going to change anytime soon. They're not 100% correlated or anything like that, but they do move in tandem often. And right now you do have a strong dollar. And the bias is still bullish, even though you're coming into this trend line where our bias isn't going to change. Like, I'm not going to close positions because it's into this. Not even thinking about it. I have longer term bullish targets on the DXY up to 104. So as long as I'm being paid to sit in a dollar long trade, I'm not going to close it until 104. As that's my long-term target. And then I'll reassess. If it breaks out again, I will absolutely start trailing stops, though. So I have open positions over here on the small account. You can see these positions. So shorted the pound dollar trade yesterday. That trade is working nicely. Up here is the euro dollar short. You can see where I shorted euro dollar. So if this breaks down, because this right here screwed that trend line up. There was a trend line that people were watching on euro dollar, and it was right there. So you did get this breakdown here that made a lot of people bearish, and then the next 2 days, bam, bam, right back up in their face. Now it's starting to roll over. So now the trend line has shifted. So now you need to break below that in order to be like, I guess if you're looking at this as a pattern, I'm not a pattern trader. I don't really care about patterns, but a lot of people do. If you break under this and show any signs of continuation, then we could see a larger move back down to 1.13284. That's, if we get that, then I'll trail my stop down to like here or something. But yeah, this is what my main account looks like. These positions. And then there's the USD Swissy. It's already got a trailed stop. USD Swissy is a little bit more difficult because this thing Oh, that's not USD. Swissy. This thing usually goes down because the Swiss franc is, so many people love the Swiss franc. So many investors, because the Swiss National Bank, there's no major inflation there. There's not a spending issue there. There's a lot of reasons for people to be long the Swiss franc over the dollar. So it's into a massive resistance here. It's a monthly resistance. You've also got the monthly 21 exponential. That's why I've already trailed the stop, because there is a good chance that it rolls over here. There's a really good chance that it rolls over here. You can see it on the daily. It's like, that level has halted price every single time. So if it breaks out above that, I'm definitely going to trail the stop up higher. This one pays really good. This is one of the most expensive longs you can be in here, so I really hope it does break out. But even though there's nice rollover fees on this one, people still love shorting it. Longer term anyways. And those big money traders, they're the ones that move the market. So we'll see what they decide to do. It'll probably get faded once you see rate cuts from the Fed. Then dollar Swissy probably gets hammered. If the Fed does decide to start to cut interest rates, like at the end of the year or something, or Q1 2027, then I would love to get out of that dollar long position and look for shorts on the USD Swissy. But until that happens, I just gotta be long. All right, so Bitcoin isn't rolling over yet, and Pingu isn't rolling over yet. So chances are it's 10:30, 10:45. We've been in this trade for an hour and it isn't working yet. So it probably isn't going to work again, which is fine. I'm okay with that. The current unrealized P&L on the Bitcoin long is $1,200. So I could at any point close that and be good. I don't want to close that, but I do want to hedge it off as it is getting closer and closer to that key breakout level. I will probably hedge that up here. I would be willing to put on a hedge position if it starts to stumble there. If it breaks right through it and keeps going, I'm not. I'm going to leave it alone, but if it starts to stumble there, I'll probably look to hedge off that long with a bigger position. So it won't actually be a hedge. It would actually be a short scalp. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it may not get there today. We'll have to see. We'll just have to give it time. All right. BTC is hard. It just doesn't want to go. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it is very slow right now. There is not much demand for Bitcoin, or the demand is it's being absorbed on a very quiet level. I imagine eventually you're going to see Bitcoin rally extensively. It's just, we got to get around the headline risk. Or not headline, but headwind risk. And that headwind risk right now is BIP 110. regardless of how you feel about BIP 110. I'm not trying to get into a word battle with BIP 110 proponents. I am on your side. I just don't really have a dog in the fight. I don't want to get included in the drama. There is so much online drama right now for people who are pro BIP 110 and people who are not. They are fighting like cats and dogs. With words. They're not fighting, they're arguing, I guess you could say. Online drama, I want to stay away from that. I'm a trader. I am not a coder, so don't really care about it either way. Either way. I moved 10% of my spot to gold. If it does not play out, it's okay long term. It will come back. I do believe that. I believe gold will rally in the future. Gold, as long as the U.S. Fed is devaluing the U.S. dollar, then I anticipate gold will continue to go up, especially if the China market is no longer able to short gold. Now, with that being said, China as a government is also accumulating massive amounts of gold. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep buying it. China is in kind of like a wartime economy. They're stacking oil, and it's because of them stacking oil that essentially kept oil from skyrocketing to like $150 a barrel. China slowed down the extent of their demand dramatically. There's a really good YouTube video floating around out there that kind of explains it in a simplistic fashion. You give it a watch if you want. But yeah, China is probably the reason why oil didn't rally. There were a lot of people that were expecting oil to skyrocket, and it didn't happen. They were wrong. So of course they're upset over that. Markets are tricky, man. They're tricky. Just because you think it's going to go in one direction, it doesn't mean it will. Price is chaotic. Very chaotic. Monthly support, Feb close, 66,937. Oh, that's gold. Sorry. It's an old monthly support. Yep. Sometimes those levels will act like resistance. Old support becomes resistance. Yep. Well, we'll just call it monthly support. You are correct. Could be a very good level to take profits if you're long from down here. Might be a good place to take profits. Absolutely. This is the second test of that level. Obviously, it played out here. It acted as resistance on that day. And it acted as resistance on this day as well as that day. So it's already been tested. So chances are you're probably going to see a wick into 67,400. I don't know that it will, but just using the time that I've been a trader, it's definitely possible, and I would definitely wait for that if you were looking for a short. But definitely take profits if you want. If you took a long trade on Bitcoin anywhere sub 65 or 62K. 65K is up here. That's why I wouldn't take profits today. I mean, if it's a day trade, then yes, definitely. But for the swing traders that's been holding Bitcoin for a couple of weeks now, this is a decent area to take profits. And if there is a significant pullback from this level and we get back down to like 60K again, I would be willing to potentially put on new longs there as well. If we're beyond the BIP 110 drama. Because we don't know what's going to happen with that. I mean, we hope everything will be fine. And being optimistic, we assume that everything will be fine. But we do want to prepare for the worst case scenario as well. We don't want to be caught off guard. Worst case scenario is that Bitcoin never recovers. You get a hard fork and both chains split, and then you got core versus knots. Which Bitcoin is the better Bitcoin? At that point in time, that's subjective. I would assume knots would be the better, but does the rest of the world see it that way? That's worst case scenario. You could see sub 30K prices in that scenario. I would probably be done investing in Bitcoin if that happens. I would just trade it from now on. Long term, for what Bitcoin is, it's supposed to work based on math, supply, demand, all of that stuff. So as long as nothing destroys the Bitcoin code or whatever, Bitcoin should ultimately rally. And then once you get mass adoption, the sky is truly the limit. Like, I see no reason Bitcoin couldn't achieve prices way up into the 100,000s, like 6, 7, 8, $1 million Bitcoin. It's totally possible with the way this thing was designed. You're going to need to see a much larger adoption rate, though, for that to happen. If Bitcoin survives this bear market, it's going to turn a lot of heads, I think. A lot of people are finally going to be like, you know what? This thing is legit. And that's going to cause some insane adoption. All the people that have given up on Bitcoin will come right back. They will be right back. Because this will be the first asset ever that has consistently been traded in a 4-year cycle. Like, that makes it simple. You get involved 500 days before the halving and you sell 500 days after the halving, and you stay out of all the bear, most of the bear. If it does it again, that will be the, what, 5th time, or we'll be going into the 5th halving. Yeah, I think you'll see Bitcoin skyrocket. The last time people thought it was over. Every time you're going to have people thinking it's over. That happens in every bear market. It doesn't matter. Every bear market, you've got people out there that think that this is the one that's going to kill the free market capitalism. And that never happens. But Bitcoin is something different. It has the ability to be something truly amazing. And that's why I am invested in it. Not for myself, though, but for my kids' future. Imagine in 20 years, a $5 million Bitcoin. If you can imagine that, then it should be very easy to be a buyer at 67K. You know what I'm saying? Very easy. Now, with that being said, if you do buy it, make sure you mitigate your risk. Don't just set in a massive losing position. That's not how you do this. You manage your risk. you put 5% of your total net worth into Bitcoin, make sure you have a stop loss at like 2.5% or something. That way you can stop taking that loss. That's the whole point of stop losses, to keep you from eating too big of a loss. But if you're doing it smart, it should be easy to buy and hold. Every 4 years, wherever you buy, it doesn't matter. Or at least that has been the trend. It may not be like that forever, but it has consistently worked so far. It doesn't matter wherever you buy it. Even if you bought every all-time high, you just waited 4 years, you were back into positive territory. You can't say that with any other asset. It's insanity. So for now, it's working as intended. It is testing the power law bottom. I mean, I could go on to Glassnode and show you 15 reasons why you should be buying Bitcoin right now. So we're not going to go into all of that, but it is at support. So a lot of eyes are on it right now, for sure. A lot of eyes here. I'd say if it holds, you get back into like 70K, that would be very constructive and very positive. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right. Monthly, read that Pingu probably go lower. I mean, eventually, because it's a shit coin, it has zero use case, zero value, zero worth. So ultimately, yeah, probably. Will it go lower today? Probably not. I mean, if it can't break under this price, then it probably isn't going lower today. You definitely need to see a trend under this red line. If you don't, at any point today, you might as well close that short. Because price is literally telling you there's no supply under 63.70. There must be supply under. You got to have people willing to sell Pingu under 63.70. Otherwise, it isn't going to go down there. Well, we'll see what it does, but I got my stop set. If it bounces back to highs, I'm going to be stopped out of it. No problem. I'll lose 30 whole dollars. Woo. You know what I mean? All will be good. If it breaks down and goes to zero, I'll make 2,000. I'm not looking for it to go to zero today or anything like that. I'm just joking around. I'm only looking for a 4% move. If it gives me a 4% move, I'm going to jump out of it. Not all of it. I'll leave some on, but I'll take the majority of it off. Let's see, 4%, 61.74. That's where I'll be scaling out if it gets down there. So I'm willing to hold it down to there at least to see if it can get there. But if it doesn't, we'll eat a stop probably in an hour or two. Because this is not momentum, I can tell you that. At least you can say that the sellers have taken it back down to neutral. So it does appear as if though the sellers are trying to break down. But here's the issue with that. They will provide the liquidity needed to break out. Their stop losses will cause prices to make fresh day highs. So if they don't get the breakdown, they will be the exit liquidity. All right. What are your thoughts on SpaceX? I think it can probably start bouncing. Looks like a lot of people are thinking the same thing today. If you're not following me on Twitter, it's free. It's literally free, and I do post over there. This is what I think about it. Through August through December, could see a lot of supply based on the lockout period, based on early investors getting out. However, it's close to my 50% off target. Some analysts think that in less than 2 years, SpaceX and Tesla will be one company. This makes long-term investing in it very tricky. But I am starting to dip a very small tippy toe into the water. It's close enough. 45% off of the highs is close enough. I wanted to start buying it at 50% off. Down here, you were at 46.89%. So I am starting to buy SpaceX now, but I'm doing it with a very small position size. I did not put that position on yet, but I am going to today. I'm only going to probably buy like 8 or 10 shares. It's not going to be a massive amount of money, but I am going to start building in a position here. My thoughts on it are, if it continues to go lower, I think sub 80 is good value for SpaceX. That's my opinion. According to how much money that the other companies are losing and yada, 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 based on what the satellite company makes, Starlink, based on what it earns, I can justify owning it at like $69, $70 a share. So I'm going to start DCAing into it at these levels, at these prices. Ultimately, I think if they get their stuff together, Elon Musk has the propensity to do that. And this thing could be worth a couple $100 in the future. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm going to start building in a position down here. I didn't want to buy it at 210, obviously. I don't love the idea of buying it at 126, but small is okay. As if it goes to 0 tomorrow, it'll be a small loss, right? We can withstand that loss. So we'll go ahead and pick up those shares now. Let me get you over there so you can see it happen, I guess. We don't want to buy 100, and we definitely don't want to short it. I want to buy to open. Let's just start with an even 10 shares. What price are we at? Let's try to get filled on a down tick. Let's go for 126.89. And then once we get the fill, I mean, we can always set a stop loss too. Like, we don't have to take a 100% loss on this. We can mitigate our downside. But I will start averaging in as it goes lower. If it continues to go lower from here, I'm expecting quite a bit of volatility for the next several months, to be honest. I think you're probably going to see a retest of the 21 exponential now that you've got enough data to even have a 21 exponential on there. I'd say this is probably where you bounce to. You didn't quite get to oversold yet on the daily. I don't know that it will get there, but it is possible to get oversold. It just might not happen until after August. So you're probably going to see it bounce around, probably not that aggressively, but like, you know what I mean? Something like that. Going all the way into December. From August to December. That's when the lockout lasts. Or when they start unfolding. So I'm not going to go in heavy here, obviously. I want to average in as it drops. And we'll see what happens with it. Long term, I think we'll be able to make some cash on it. I do believe there is a massive amount of people that want to buy SpaceX. I do believe there's plenty of demand for it. But I know big money isn't going to get involved until it's closer to value. Let's pull up just to see, because I haven't looked at this at all. Let's go down here and see what analysts are saying about it. Out of 36 analysts, so I'm reading right here, 36 analysts give the stock ratings in the past 3 months. Out of those 36 analysts, 25 of them say at this price, current price, it's a strong buy. You got one guy down here saying, this is a sell. Elon Musk sucks balls. Sell it. Damn it. Sell it. And then you got another one that is a liberal. Who's even a stronger seller than this guy. That definitely can't stand Elon Musk. But for the rest of them, it's pretty much a buy at these levels. Now, are these analysts any good, or are they just random people that just opened a TradingView account 2 days ago? I don't know. I have no clue. But I'm willing to put some risk on with real money if I can get filled. Here, let me just move this up so you can hear the fill. And then we'll wrap this up. There you go. Filled. We own 10 shares of SpaceX. Yeah, at 128.99. Oh, no. At what price? Here, I'll show you. Right there. So we own 10 deltas at 128.93. 10 shares at 128.93. I'll buy 20 shares at 80. And another 40 at 60. I'll just keep averaging down until I get about the share size that I want to own. I don't quite have that number figured yet. What I want to own long term. But I'm okay with getting at least some risk on, just in case it bounces from here and never revisits this area again. But anyways, yeah, it's getting close. It's getting close. We're probably going to see some two-sided trade from here. If you have a massive bearish bias on SpaceX still, I don't know how much more you're going to get on that downside. But, I mean, you could definitely... Some analysts say it's worth $100, some say 80, some say 60, some say it isn't worth anything. But I doubt it's going to zero anytime soon. It's pretty violent bounce today. What's Tesla doing? And then we'll wrap this up. Tesla is also bouncing here at monthly support. As long as it's below yesterday's high, though, it's still threatening the downside. You just got a nice little cross right there. It's definitely sideways, so moving averages are not very helpful in a sideways market, but still. Earnings coming up on Tesla soon. Tomorrow. Post-market. Got Tesla earnings tomorrow. Be careful if you jump in a trade on Tesla today. I would not anticipate those numbers being very good. I haven't been paying attention. Deliveries are growing, but I listened to someone yesterday that said that they're going to lose money this year, according to their earnings estimates. The Tesla could definitely go lower. Be careful. I'm not getting involved in Tesla here. I own Tesla long term. I bought Tesla years and years and years ago, though. So where I own it from, I own it way back here. So I don't own a lot, but what I do own is enough to hold now for sure. It's split a couple times too since then, so I own a lot more than I used to. But I'm not doing anything with that. That's long term. That stuff's for my kids, like I said. Anyways, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Let me answer this one last question and we'll wrap it up. What if the dollar pulls a Zim dollar? That's not going to happen. I mean, when? This year? No. The dollar, the Zimbabwe dollar? Oh, come on, man. Like, nah, I have to imagine that the American economy is doing far better than Zimbabwe's. Is it possible that it does sometime in the future? It's probably going to if the politicians keep spending like the way they are spending. Yes, that's what does it. Literally, that's what causes it. But as of right now, this year, that's not happening. This year, I imagine the DXY is just going to go up. It could stop, but I have higher bias on this, not lower. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure you guys trade safe, trade smart, and as always, happy trading, everybody.